Yes, people, welcome back to the 1894. I'm Darrow. I've got Joe with me here today for the first Premier League preview of the season. It's Tottenham. Leave a like, enjoy it. Let's get right into it. Okay, so what we know about first going into this game is that one, we haven't won in this stadium before. Two, neither of these teams are coming in completely 100%. And three, this Harry Kane situation is absolutely mental. We have no clue whether he's going to play or not. So with those taken into account, Joe, what do you think is going to happen?
I think it will be a very slow burner of a game. Games against Tottenham are never really that good, especially at Tottenham in terms of us, because obviously we've never won there in that new stadium since they've been there. The fans are back, so that's probably going to make it even harder. If anything, they've got a new manager. Their squad is arguably in a better shape. I think our players are still better. But I don't think they had as many internationals as us, and I just think they're arguably more prepared because they had a better pre-season with the teams they played, because they played a few, teams that are a bit above that. We kind of played, Championship League One level, like for a few games they played. I know they played Arsenal in there, so they could be a bit more prepared. But in terms of us, right back down to earth after our pre-season with the Leicester loss. So I think we just kind of need to get through this initial first part of the season where it could be slow with the international players returning. We don't have that recognised number 9 yet. Obviously, to touch on Kane a little bit, we'll think he'll play at some point. We just don't think he will start because he only just returned to training, I think, yesterday. So, actual proper first team training. So I just think, it could be a fairly boring game. Hopefully we come out with a win, but you never know with our record at that stadium. I'm just hoping that we find a solution to our striking problem as soon as possible.
Yeah, I'm completely with you on that. I do think it'll be a very, very slow game. I think we'll take a while to actually get into it. But another thing we have to kind of keep in mind is now that they have Nuno Espirito Santo managing them, I think we've always had a tough time breaking down Wolves, whether it was when they played a 4 or a 5, and I don't think now it's going to be any different, especially like you said, without the recognised number 9. Torres looked fairly toothless going forward against Leicester. We had the link up play and all that. We just didn't have anyone to finish off those chances. And using that as a segue, even better to talk about the Kane situation. He probably will play, like you said. He'll come in, he'll play 20 odd minutes, or he might start and get those 60. But he's not going to be there mentally. He won't be 100% as he's just back from holiday and he's only back training. It's going to be a very weird game, a slow burner, weird game, and I think we can only really hope for a victory to come out of it. But do you think we will struggle breaking down this Nuno side again, or do you think it'll be a little bit easier than when we played against Wolves?
I think if anything, it's going to be harder, because I think, even though we think Tottenham are not a very good side at the moment, they've struggled, especially last season. I just think that player for player, they're still better than that Wolves side. They just signed Christian Romero, good centre-back. I know they lost Alderweireld. I just think it could be very, very tough. I think the one weakness we could exploit is down their right-hand side. They have Matt Doherty, but he's much better in a 3 or a 5 than he is a 4. They have Aurier, who wants to leave, who just so inconsistent, so rash, just unbelievable. I know they have Tanganga. It's a good young player who could prove tough, but I think he played when we beat him 3-0 at the Etihad last season. So I think that's probably their Achilles heel of that defence, is that right-hand side. They don't have anyone there who's like a set solution. So I think whoever's playing on the left for us, we need to try and get in and try and exploit the holes, because if anything, it's going to be just extremely difficult to break down a Nuno side, because obviously we think they're probably going to play a 4-2-3-1, something like that, with the 2 in front of the back 4. So it's going to be incredibly difficult. But again, creativity is not our weakness, it's our strength. We will create a few chances, even though it will be difficult. It's just, will there be anyone on the end of those chances? And if there is, will it be the right person? Because we don't seem to have someone like that. I think, someone like Torres is that person you probably want at the moment, but I still think we need better.
Yeah, 100%. But, I'm fairly confident that we will create the chances. We'll put out the right team. And with that being said, let's get into the team prediction now. Right, so having mentioned that neither team is going to be 100%, we've decided to go with this for our predicted lineup. We have Edison in goal and the back four of Cancelo, Diaz, Ake, and Mendy. Joe, what you make of that back four?
I think, it's the same as Leicester, bar Edison, of course. Edison returns because he's just number one keeper. But I think the back four, I'm not sure of what to make of it. It's probably what we will see because they're just the players that are most ready with the most pre-season. But I'm not all too happy with... I mean, it is Spurs at the end of the day. I know it can be stronger. I'm not sure about Mendy because he had a decent pre-season. He had quite a good pre-season, don't get me wrong, but just I'm not sure. Like, that is our Achilles heel. Like, I did mention that Spurs' Achilles heel was their right back. Ours is definitely our left back. For how consistent Zinchenko is, like, we don't have any backup and he's not a natural. So, and Ake did make that mistake against Leicester, so who knows what frame of mind he is in right now.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, our left side has left a lot to be desired in the absence of Stones and Laporte. But we're not 100% sure whether or not this will be the team. Stones could very easily come back in. We saw Laporte was back training. Even Zinchenko, I think he's fresh off of the birth of his child. So it could be very hard to predict this 11. But getting into the midfield, we've got Fernandinho, Bernardo, and Gundogan. Joe, what you make of that?
I think there's not a lot of room to do anything different. I think the only way you can do this different is possibly Rodri, but Fernandinho is the more ready. He got the more pre-season, and club captain. I just would start him. Bernardo, he does want to leave, but again, De Bruyne isn't fit enough. I wouldn't risk starting him at least. I just wouldn't risk it. Foden's not there. Especially when we get onto the forwards soon. You see that. Obviously, you see that Grealish is in the team, but he's in a different position. Like, if he's not there, who plays in his position? So I just don't think there's too much to work with. And I just wouldn't put Rodri and Fernandinho in the same team. We tried it last season and it didn't really work. I would rather go with someone of Bernardo's quality who's a bit more attacking minded than go with someone who just, actually wants to be here. I just think it's play the system that worked last season until it doesn't work.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Bernardo seems the type of player who will play no matter what, whether he wants to leave, whether he wants to stay, he will still give 110%. And with that being said, we can get onto the forward line now because that'll offer even more creativity. We have Grealish, we have Mahrez, and then up front we have Ferran Torres, who, will drop deep and play his false nine position, however you see it. But I think that front three, when it was together on the same pitch against Leicester, it looked decent, but Torres just doesn't have that killer instinct at the minute. I think his movement's good. He's just not been, he was toothless against Leicester. So, yeah, that could be a bit sticky. What do you think of that one, Joe?
Mahrez and Grealish are probably, maybe bar Foden, our two most creative wingers. So again, with this lineup, with Bernardo and Gundogan, you would, for how hard we said it might be to break them down, with those four creative players, it shouldn't be an issue. It shouldn't. They've all got different qualities and they can all do different things, which offer, a different avenue to, break down a team. It is just, like I said before, the number 9, Torres is, he's not a natural number 9, but he's probably the best option we've got at the moment. So, again, he didn't get too much pre-season. He was thrown in against Leicester. He looked off it. Didn't really link up with the rest of the team. I'm hoping to see improvements, but we've got no one else. We could see like a proper false 9, like maybe Grealish in there in that position and put someone else. But then, like, who'd you put there? We don't really have anyone unless you go with a Dozy again or Palmer, something like that, which I don't think Pep will do because, Spurs. It is a big game, first game of the season. I think I want to go with a proper full first team, regardless of how match fit they are, just because, they have that experience of playing at that sort of level. And again, fans are back. Something you've got to get used to. we are away from home, so there will be. It's a big stadium. It's a very good stadium that, in terms of the amount of fans it can get in there. So, you need a bit more experience. I'd just go with Torres over Jesus because I just think he's better up front.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think we'll see any youth players, whether it be. I don't think we'll see any youth players starting. I think there will be a couple of them on the bench. I think there was Neil Samadowski could be on the bench. But yeah, I think it's shaping up to be a very interesting game. Right, so just before we wrap up, Joe, we'll get both our score predictions. What's your one?
I think we are going to finally break this curse and win at that stadium. I think we'll win 2-1. I'm not as confident on the clean sheet given the state of our team, but I do think we will win because I think Spurs are just Spurs, really.
I'd agree with you that we'll win, but I'm a bit more confident on the clean sheet front for some reason. I'm not 100% sure. I think City will come out 2-0 winners here, and I'm looking forward to seeing Grealish in the shirt. But that's just our score predictions. Let us know yours down in the comments below. We're getting really close to getting that 400 subscribers now, so we'd really appreciate it if you'd like, share it around, do all that good stuff like you've been doing lately. So we'll catch you on the watch along for the City Tottenham one. Peace.